What is up? This is your boy Anecdotal, and today we're going to be talking about the things that you should absolutely buy in the marketplace and the things you should probably avoid in the early game, in the mid game, in the late game. We're gonna cover it all things marketplace, and not just the regular marketplace that you can go ahead and get in your kingdoms tab, but also for every event marketplace that there is. We're gonna go over every single market. That way, no matter what you're trying to purchase, you know what to get. First, of course, you got to get the free thing. You absolutely want to go ahead and get your divinity gems, your scrolls, your refining stones, and your upgrade juice for your artifacts, as well as everything else that costs coins. Now, coins, these are things that you're going to get easily. Gold is pretty easy to get, so for the most part, you can just kind of buy everything out. But when you first start out, it's going to be a little bit of a bottleneck. Of course, the blue treasure chests are a must. Anytime you get these free SSRs, you want to try to acquire that. And essence is super important. I don't know how important it is for new players or when exactly you unlock it, but for me, I really do like the fire essence and the water essence because those things correlate to fighters if it's fire, and if it's water, it correlates to the mages. And don't forget, no matter what, the privilege vouchers is something you want to get every single day. It's the only place you can get it as a free to play like myself. You always want to get that privilege voucher and use it to unlock. It's kind of like the cube that you have, that you just kind of get upgrades over time. It's something that you always want to keep track of. And of course, if you are a pay to win player, man, these cups are one bottleneck that I'm tired of, man. But I would totally get those. I'll probably get the URs, and that's about it. But those cups right now are a huge bottleneck. Now, on this tab, of course, you definitely want to get your dust. And after that, whatever has a percentage off. So right now, that weapon that's 25% off would be really cool. And any one of these runes, if those runes also have a percentage off, I would probably buy them. So as long as there's a percentage off, I would get that, or if it's something you really need. So axes are weapons that are almost always used by any DPS, and then shields for any tanks. So I would always get those. Fire runes and earth runes again. Fire for attack, earth runes for defense. Inherited divinity is the number one thing to get. Always have enough. Always have enough for the divinity, along with the acorns. So the reason why acorns are good is so that you can play hard mode of Pantheon. So that's hard mode right here. It says Void Pantheon. In the hard mode, as you can see, the only difference between normal and hard are the first two rewards. The first one, of course, being the most important, it's the inherited divinity. And you need this divinity in order to unlock your iconic weapon that starts off from 225 once you max it out to like 400. And then once you get that divinity, you could unlock it all the way to 500 and end up getting the max potential of your character. Well, the initial max potential of your character of 500. Now that new things have been added to the game, it can go to 600 now. But unless you're a whale or a very long time player, it's almost impossible to get characters to 600 around now. There are definitely players that have it, but not really. All right, and then Western Queen, you got to get it. Here, like I said, cups, scrolls, the tombs, and the Rubik's Cube looking thing, you got to get all of them, man. In the arena, all the top four things matter. Always get all the top four things. Now, if you want some characters here, Archimedes is always a character that you can get. The only thing is, Archimedes, you pretty much need Odin, so you can go ahead and get Odin. Loki is fine by himself. Susanoo is also fine by himself, especially in the later game when you could have his shield regenerate while he attacks. But for the most part, if you're really trying to focus on someone that will last throughout the rest of the game, Amaterasu is the UR to go for. But when you're first starting off, I feel like you should just keep getting regular scrolls, get whoever you get, and continuously farm Amaterasu. Because from now all the way to late game, Amaterasu will carry you. just an overall great unit starting from beginning to the end. Now after that, you always got like Oda Nobunaga, probably the second greatest character in the game. And then, you could always have fun. You could have Iset, which is just an OP support unit that just really helps out. I like also Marmaduke and Typhoon as tanks. For me, those two are like amazing. Now, the reason why you always want to buy the scrolls that are a percentage off of regular summons, the only difference is you don't get a guaranteed SSR that you want. You still get an SSR, and it's way cheaper. So I would always get the standard summon scrolls, because just because you summon, you get tokens, and you could spend those said tokens in the market. So the more you pull, the more you get. And if you actually use gems on that, you do basically get one free pull, because each pull is 2,700 gems instead of the standard 3,000. So here, tombs, they're always good to get artifacts. The temple artifact are character specific artifacts, which if you get, it can definitely upgrade your character, but it only increases base stats. So if your character isn't very good at base, meaning that you don't have a lot of copies into that character, I don't know how worth it'll be. All right, let's talk about these weapons here. Well, as far as weapons, like I said, axes are usually the way to go for most characters. You could also go with chakra. Chakra is also useful. The staff is used to increase boss damage, so you could put that on anyone that you want to do a lot of boss damage to. And then you have this green sort of talisman, and it really increases your cooldown, so you could pop off your skills faster. And Excalibur. Excalibur is a sword that gives buffs. Don't farm Excalibur, you'll just kind of get a lot of them, because you're not going to be throwing Excalibur into a lot of characters, but it is nice to have. Same thing with the staff and with this badge. That's like a secondary thing that you could throw on tanks. But for the most part, you don't really want to farm anything that isn't going to be a weapon you're going to use mainly. I don't think that you should farm any of these iconic weapon soul seal upgrades, because it's kind of more of a time thing than anything else. You can focus on farming them. It's not a big deal. But of course, right here, inherited divinity is the number one thing that you want to always get to fully capitalize on maxing the potential of your character, right? Always get that. Now, if you don't care to get that, I think the artifacts are the way to go. Now, there's upsides and downsides to these artifacts. One, they're always for one particular faction. The white, the red, the green, or the red. So yeah, red, green, white, yellow. Yeah, yellow. There you go. So you got the white one, which is the Luma faction, the Lumen Arch. Got the red, which is the Shadow Arch. Green, Viridian. Oh, and blue. Blue is Guardian. And for me, Guardian is probably the trashiest collection of units. They have like some standouts like Archimedes, but for the most part, I don't really care for them. But yeah, you always want to go ahead and get the artifacts. For the event markets, always the artifacts. In the previous tab for the regular market, the thing is, you're not going to be able to unlock that market unless you already fully maxed out an SSR character. That's how you get those circular golden globe things. So to get those little orbs that are gold, you only get 10 of them per dupe. So if you don't have it open yet, don't worry about it. All right, so for this is super important here. These refinement elixirs or restoration elixirs that you can use on artifacts, you'll never get a red one. All right, so don't mistakenly buy these thinking that you can get the red ones. Now, when will the red ones be used? The max level for artifacts is 200, and you only use the red from 175% to 200%. Now, you could always get lucky when you're using like the orange one, and you can get to like 176 or 177 if you proc an extra upgrade that goes up instead of 1% by 3. All right, but yeah, like I said, always go for artifacts. The most important, they help your entire account. It's definitely the way to go. And always go for divinity. All right, here we're talking about unlocking the iconic weapon, and we're talking about the dust here that you need to just upgrade any one of your 4 different types of warriors, right? So like I said, red corresponds to warriors, blue corresponds to your mages, I think brown corresponds to your tanks, and then whatever the last color is, I forget, it corresponds to your support. For support, I'm pretty sure you just want to go with Western Queen. I don't know what other support you would probably want to throw everything into. Maybe Morgan, but that's about it. So when you do get these iconic weapon unlocks, use the first 4 on 4 different types of units. First, choose whichever one you believe to be the best fighter in your team, the best warrior. and then unlock the iconic weapon for that warrior. Then do it for a mage, do it for a tank, do it for a support. So once you get your 4 unlocks, the dust that you have will always correspond to one of those 4 individuals, and then that way you get the max efficiency you can have. You don't want to unlock 4 mages and then only be able to upgrade 1 mage at a time, or spread out that dust and then just collect dust for every other type of warrior that you could have. Like your mage will be doing getting all the upgrades, and then you'll do nothing with all the upgrades for your tanks and nothing for your supports. It makes no sense. But yeah, always go for the artifacts. If the inherited divinity is there, go for the inherited divinity. Now it's going to be up to you. Do you want to focus more on unlocking specific characters that you need, or do you want to focus more on just an overall strength upgrade? So it's up to you. I say early game, just unlock it once. Unlock the artifact. You can worry about upgrading it later. And then you should probably focus on finishing up your main carry and at least your main number 1 team. After that, forget about inherited divinity and start focusing a little bit more on artifacts that can just upgrade your account in total. All right. Now, remember, the character specific artifacts are a huge upgrade because it opens up the basic stats, but the basic stat of your character won't be very high if you don't have a lot of dupes on it. So when will it be worth it? The more maxed out, the more dupes, the closer you have to maxing out your character, the more it makes sense to try to start farming your artifact specific character. But an artifact that is specific to your character will take a long time to get. All right, here there's a lot of really good SSRs. Freya, amazing, one of my favorites. Archimedes, huge DPS. Susanoo, Apollo is getting a lot of praise early game. If I were you, I'd probably go Freya, or I would go Apollo. Apollo could be really good for early game carry, and I hear he stays great. And then Freya, I would say that I'm at endgame right now, and I still use Freya. Not great for PvP, but is one amazing buffer for all tanks and all fighters. And it's a character that's worth getting its iconic weapon to 600. All right, for here, once again, I especially like artifacts that give you attack, because for me, attack is all that matters. So definitely get the ones that give you attack. I currently have about 150, I believe, out of the 160 to finish leveling up this artifact. So I'm probably going to skip out on it. For these SSRs, I would go with Nephi right here. So yeah, Nephi is great. If you're starting out, I would probably also just go with Nephi. You can go GM, but GM really falls off. But GM is so good early mid game. But once you get past mid game, GM falls off, man. But I'm still working on him. I'm gonna try to get those 2 GM to 600. So iconic weapon 600 and see how they perform. And if it's good, I'm not gonna regret my decision. But there are definitely better mages that I could have focused on to get to 600 first. But as far as this goes, you do get 10 from this event. And of course, look at this, inherited divinity, man. You have no inherited divinity is so important. I'm telling you now, if you just started the game, it is super important to get this, right? You're going to max out your character so much earlier than all these other players that have just started and have no idea what they're doing. And you could unlock their divinity. First, of course, you need to level them up with the divinity gems to 18. And then you're good. I feel like you actually only need to get them to 17 to unlock everything, so you can max out their iconic weapon, at least their initial max of 500. But yeah, man. And some artifacts require you to do something. I mean, they all do, but some of them are a lot easier than others. So you can see if you're reaching the full potential of that artifact. Maybe it'll be 20 out of 20, 180 out of 180, whatever it is. That way you also know to upgrade ones that you already have maxed out within their potential, so you get more attack from it, right? So it's not just how upgraded it is, it's also how much of the potential you have reached. So always keep an eye out of those things when it comes to upgrading. I'll probably have a video on what artifacts you want to focus on, as well as probably what characters you want to focus on for each sort of tribe and type. All right, and here it's a fake out, but also it was guaranteed. Always pull. When an event comes in, it will tell you your first 10 summons, you are for sure going to get an SSR. So always make sure to pull. and get that free SSR for 10. All right. If you don't do it, you're just missing out on a free SSR. I don't know why you would do it, but look at this. I finally got Poseidon, and my Poseidon's about to be maxed out. All three, man. Look at this. Completely done. Completely done. Oh, boom. Ascension complete, man. So yeah. And now if I do get another Poseidon, it will be 10 gold orbs that I could exchange in the marketplace and try to get an artifact using him. But yeah, that's how you get the shop. Remember, it now if I get a Poseidon artifact, a specific character artifact for Poseidon, the basic stats that I'll get are going to be much higher because of the amount of dupes since I max them out. So if I do get him, that will be amazing. But as you can see here, these artifacts require you to have maxed out versions of whatever class or tribe of characters. I only have 3 here of the 18, so I'm definitely not getting the max, which is why I'm probably going to stop at 50 and not level them up all the way to like 100 or 200 or whatever the cap is. But yeah, man, that's the video. Like, subscribe, share. Peace out.